Hello, I'm Sean Flynn, managing editor and senior reporter with News 14 Carolina. In the next 60 minutes, we'll speak with the 12 Democratic candidates who are running for the Mecklenburg County Commission at-large seats. Now, in the next 60 minutes, we will ask all these candidates, which is the largest number of candidates that we can recall ever being on one stage for a debate here, a number of questions. Now, all of these questions come from the League of Women Voters, and the candidates have not heard them in advance. Each candidate will have 45 seconds to answer these questions. Because of the sheer number of candidates at this time, there will not be any challenge, but you will get a closing comment. Let's go ahead and meet these candidates. First, Harry Taylor, Pat Cotham, Jody Freeland, Trevor Fuller, Adam W. Jeremiah, Mark Gustafson, Robert L. Hillman, Gregory Hunt, Craig Maddens, Aronde McLean, Kim Michelle Ratliff, and Paul M. Brown. I'm a little tired after going through all those candidates, but this is going to be good, getting a chance to hear from all these candidates right now. So first question, very simple. What makes you the best candidate to become the next Mecklenburg County Commissioner, and what differentiates you from all the rest of the people who are up here? We'll start with Mr. Taylor.
I think that while we're going to talk about issues today, the paramount question in regard to this election is leadership. And what we need is people that are willing to stand up, speak out against for people who cannot speak for themselves, who, for whatever reason, and speak against interests that don't favor community in Mecklenburg County.
All right, Ms. Cotham.
I am a leader in Mecklenburg County for many years. I have many relationships, and I'm very proud of that. And I also, in my job, I know about the struggles of many families in our community. So these are some of the reasons why I'm running and why I'm the best candidate.
All right, Ms. Friedland.
I am passionate, I am committed, and I have the strength to do something and to be the voice for the county commission at large.
All right, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you. This election is an important election because the leadership of the county commission is at stake, and what's needed now more than ever is leadership. And so we need people who have leadership experience. I have leadership experience. I'm a small business owner and a family man. And what we need now is someone who knows how to build consensus. And that's what we need on county commission. That's why I'm running for this office.
All right, just to repeat the question again, what makes you the best candidate to become the next Mecklenburg County Commissioner at large? We'll continue on with Mr. Jeremiah.
If elected for county commission, I would do my very best to listen to the citizens of the county, find workable solutions so that all communities' needs are met. I think that's why I'm a good fit for the county commission.
All right, Mr. Gustafson.
This is a critical election. We need people who are not just spoken leaders, but who have been active leaders in items that have affected our county. I've been on boards at the Parks and Rec, the Mecklenburg County Public Library, and the Arts and Science Council. These things are all critical to our community. We need people with those experiences that know what's going on in our community to help us move forward.
Mr. Hillman.
At its core, the county commission job is a budgeting job, and I'm a numbers person. I have a degree from MIT in electrical engineering and computer science. I have an MBA in business and international finance, and I've got a chartered financial analyst designation. I also have over 20 years experience as an investment banker, as an engineer, and as a investment advisor. And it's these things plus my leadership in the community that I bring to the table of county commission. Thanks.
All right, moving on to Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. Most importantly, I believe that I bring to the table is the ability to bring people together. And one of the ways that I do that is to listen. And that's one of the critical aspects, I think, right now that's going on at the county commission, at the board, that the commissioners are not listening to each other. They're talking at each other. And in doing so, they're keeping the focus on each other's personal issues rather than what's most important, which is the people's business and the things that we believe that are important, that you believe that are important. Thank you.
All right, just repeating the question is, what makes you the best candidate to become a Mecklenburg County Commissioner? Moving on to Mr. Maddens.
Thank you. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been active in the community for over 25 years, having run for office previously, including the mayor of Charlotte. I have the ability to chair committees of which I have served. I served on the Tree Commission, which we have one of the finest tree ordinances anywhere in the country. I served the local group where we protected and saved the original Independence Arena from being torn down. I have served on a committee from the local community to bring district representation to the school board. I have put forth the effort again over the last 25 years, and I truly believe that's what differentiates me from the rest of the group.
Mr. McLean.
Yes, I have 5 years in business management, over 5 years also in teaching high school. It's convenient for a lot of folks to say, you know, I'm actually of service, but I have been practicing my service capabilities for the past 21 years, active with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I've also served on the board at South Meck High School, the advisory committee, and also at Philip O'Berry High School, my 4 years of living here in Charlotte. I am of service 24 hours a day to not only myself, but also my community. And I am passionate about developing change and policy that affects the people who live here in Mecklenburg County.
All right, Ms. Ratliff.
Good morning. I am the best candidate because I am, one, a native of Charlotte. I have a degree in political science, public administration from North Carolina Central University. I have been active in the community since graduating from college. I currently serve on the board of directors for the Latin American Coalition. I am the president of the North Carolina Central Charlotte Alumni Chapter. I'm on the board for my neighborhood association, Alexander Hills, Holiday Hills. I'm the vice president of that association, so I am active in the community. I have the knowledge, the experience, and the leadership. I am your best candidate, Kim Michelle Ratliff, for Mecklenburg County Commission at Large.
All right, and then finally for this first question, Mr. Brown.
Education-wise, I have a master's in public administration, a master's in business administration. I do a lot within the communities as far as volunteer work. I am a public servant and not a politician. I feel like one of my best means of doing things is listening to the community and finding exactly the issues that are most concerned of us. And I feel like I am the best candidate because I love the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. Thank you.
All right, moving on to our second question. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools has recently asked for an additional $27.5 million, primarily to fund a 3% pay raise for teachers. Do you support this increase? And if yes, how would you pay for it? If no, why not? And we'll start with Ms. Cotham.
Our teachers are so critical, and they have been, and they haven't had a raise in several years. I do think that education is the great equalizer, and we must look at the whole thing. We cannot shortchange our children. Everything must impact the classroom. I'm certainly for a raise for the teachers and the staff of the schools, but I do think we have to look at the whole picture of what the budget is and what the Board of Education wants. So we have to evaluate the whole thing.
All right, Ms. Friedland.
I'm always been an advocate for education. The teachers haven't got their raise for 3 or more than 3 years, and they need to get that raise. If we really take care of our children, the teachers should get that one, and I'm sure they're going to do a good job for our children. It's high time now for the teachers to get their raise, and I don't take no for an answer. I find the answer. There is money in here, and we can raise and get the funds.
All right, Mr. Fuller.
Well, it's certainly important to pay teachers. My wife is a teacher. Her parents are teachers. Her family members are teachers. I have no choice but to be sympathetic to teachers. But we have to look at it in a broad way. And without knowing specifically what the increase is intended to be for, I couldn't speak with certainty about whether I would agree with it or not. I think we do need to focus more attention on education, particularly when it relates to providing vocational and technical training for jobs in the sciences, technology, engineering, and math. So we need to look at this very, very carefully.
All right, Mr. Jeremiah.
I would be for the increase. for the teachers. Education's a priority for Mecklenburg County. Without education, we can't hope to attract businesses looking for skilled workers. We need an able-bodied graduating class entering the workforce at some point, and not paying teachers doesn't seem to be an option. There's other places money can be cut. Other parts of the country, there's a correlation between teachers' salary and their performance. So I think it's definitely a priority that needs to be addressed.
All right, repeating that question again. CMS has recently asked for an additional $27.5 million, primarily to fund a 3% raise for teachers. Do you support this increase? If yes, how would you pay for it? If no, why not? And we will move on to Mr. Gustafson.
And I do support the pay raise for teachers. I'm an education major from the University of North Carolina and was a North Carolina teaching fellow. Both my grandmother's 3 aunts and my mother were all teachers, and I understand the importance of public education to our county and to our future. How do we pay for this? We've got to get more efficient, more effective with our spending. We know that by spending on education and investing in our future, that we will save money in our jails, our dropout rates, and the cost to our community.
Mr. Hillman?
Yes, I'm certainly in favor of the increase in teacher salary. My background, I went through public school and am a tremendous fan of public school and in all instances in favor more pay for teachers. In terms of where we cut it from, we'd have to look at the budget. And as I indicated earlier, it's a budgeting job. You got to kind of go line by line in the budget and look for ways that you can cut. One of the areas that I'd like to explore further, and obviously would be more privy to some of the information, would be some of the overhead or the administrative costs that are spent. Because I'm a firm believer that the money is best spent at the teacher level and in the classroom.
All right, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. I certainly applaud the raise for teachers, and I do support it 100%. I have children now who are in CMS, and they only get to go to school once, and I believe that the teachers, if they have their raises, which are long overdue, they can focus on what's important, which is educating all of our children. As it relates to paying for it, certainly we live in a time where we need to prioritize how we spend our money. We are living in a time of limited funds, and going through the budget, there are many places in there to reallocate dollars to pay for teachers' salaries. Thank you.
All right, moving on, Mr. Maddens.
I, too, am in favor of the raise going for the teachers. I also believe they're entitled to it. The more we have on the lower levels of the educational system, we can enhance the classroom size. I'm in favor of smaller classroom sizes. I'm also wanting to make sure that we prioritize the funds so that we have the ability to offer music, French, Spanish, Latin, all the languages and music, so that we have a wide variation, a wide program for our kids. Where the money would come from, I always believe that the administrative costs have been too high, and we would obviously prioritize it so that we could fund the raise.
All right, asking this question again. CMS recently asked for an additional $27.5 million, primarily to pay for some teacher raises. Do you support this increase? If yes, how would you pay for it? If no, why not? And we'll go on to Mr. McLean.
In my job in community relations, I'm in and out of CMS throughout the week, and I can truly say we have some of the best talent in the world here in Mecklenburg County schools. I have recently had the chance to bring a Fortune 500 company's attention to our first robotics program at Philip Berry High School, where we're thinking about giving them $10,000 for next year's competition. I think public and private partnerships is the opportunity that we have in CMS. I would like to see more of that going on throughout the county. I think that that is one way where we can take care of some of the issues that we have with leveraging our resources, and I'm excited to be here. So I am for the raise for our teachers, and even the opportunity to look at a 5% raise sounds like something good in the direction we need to go in.
All right, Ms. Ratliff.
Thank you. As a product of CMS Public Schools, I definitely support the raise for the teachers. I also come from a family of educators. My grandmother is a retiree from the North Carolina public school system. I have several aunts and cousins that currently work in the system, and I do think that an educated workforce will definitely help to bring more jobs to North Carolina as well. I've worked with the Charlotte Chamber, listening at their discussion on workforce development, economic development, how to bring jobs to our area, and I am definitely on board, and I will do what I can to secure companies here to make sure that we have an educated workforce to have that in place.
All right, Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. I'm in favor of the pay raise for qualified teachers, the teachers that have the love to give that support to that children that want to learn, that want to make it. These are our future leaders, and we need to look into the situation and find out exactly the teachers that are out there. If we don't pay them, we will lose them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is today's society, whereas we must look at our future. Let's keep out supporting our qualified teachers. Thank you.
All right, and finally on this question, Mr. Taylor.
Of all the things the county does, there's nothing more important to the future of the county than education, public education. I favor the pay raise for the teachers. I favor smaller classroom sizes. It is unacceptable at this time to allow young people to grow uneducated, unskilled, and unemployed. That's a direct path to prison and homelessness, and is a waste of human capital. We have to find a place to fund that from, but fortunately the county is on, the economy is beginning to recover, and I would hope that we can find the money in new funds based on sales tax revenues.
All right, moving on. Charlotte, Mecklenburg has one of the highest property tax rates in the Southeast. The simple question to you is, are county property owners overtaxed, and are some areas of the county overtaxed? Why or why not? And we'll start with Ms. Friedland.
I don't think as a mother, I felt like I'm overtaxed, especially if my money will gonna go to to education, which is the priority right now of our county. As long as the money will be used properly and efficiently, I don't mind being taxed, because I always ensured the future of our children, so that they're gonna have a brighter future at the end.
Mr. Fuller.
Well, I think anybody who pays taxes will say that any tax is too much. I think it's fair to say, though, that it's difficult when compared to other metropolitan areas of our size. It's difficult to say that we are overtaxed. The real issue is what we do with the tax dollars that are collected from the people. And if people see that government is acting responsibly, using their tax dollars efficiently, the issue isn't going to be whether I'm taxed too much, but whether or not the tax dollars that are collected are used for legitimate and wonderful purposes for the betterment of the county.
Mr. Jeremiah.
I agree. I don't necessarily think I'm being overtaxed. I believe it's upsetting to people in the community when they feel that the taxes aren't being spent efficiently, when they see government waste. We need to cut down on the government waste. We need to make programs more efficient. If that means a tax decrease, well, that's great, but the reality is our schools are a problem right now. We need to address that situation. If that means keeping our tax rates the same, then I'm certainly for the tax rate as it is.
Mr. Gustafson.
We've heard from several people today say that this is a critical time for our county. And I believe it's a critical time for our county because it's a point at which we need to decide what we want our community to look like, what schools we want, what parks and recreation services we want, what do we want our public libraries to look like. So we have to look at all these items holistically, balance fair and equal taxes for everyone. One of the points that's been made recently is some upset over the tax revaluation process. I've done those appeals for more than 12 of my clients, and I know that people are upset with that process, but it's ultimately working in the end when we have the community involved and there's a fair and reasonable basis for our taxes.
Okay, the question then basically is, are county county property owners overtaxed? We'll move on, Mr. Hillman.
No, I don't believe we're overtaxed. I think what we have to do is we have to focus on how efficiently monies are used. I think there's a lack of confidence in how money is used because of the fear of waste, fraud, and abuse. If you look at Charlotte over the last 15 or so years that I've been here, it's grown tremendously. And some of that's because of the investments that have been made with tax dollars. that investment has led to increased growth and increased opportunity for growth. And so we must be mindful as citizens that the money that we put in the pot for coming from taxes is being invested and not spent.
Mr. Hunt.
The answer is yes, we are. And that's the perception. And the reason why is that it's the #1 revenue stream for the county, which are property taxes. And I think that the county should, at this juncture, look at other ways to expand the revenue stream. That way there's not a burden on that income coming in from the property taxes. People are frustrated because you look at it, you have to pay the taxes from the property, and from the county's perspective, that's where the #1 revenue stream comes. And so it causes a great burden on it. And so I think if the county were to look at other ways to increase its ability to take in revenue from other sources, that would alleviate some burden.
Okay. Mr. Maddens?
I don't think there's any question that again, let me repeat, I don't think there's any question that we are overpaying on our property taxes. The way the system is set up now, it seems like it goes every 8 years for the reevaluation. This process has to be changed. We also have to have input from the proper people to give us a proper value for the house. Case in point, I'm suggesting that perhaps going from 8 years to 4 years and adding some realtors to give a proper value on the house. A house is only going to be worth, and the property is only going to be worth what someone obviously is willing to pay for it. And doing it every 8 years isn't going to work. But we can increase the tax base by having a better property value so that more people will be here and more people want to live here, so we can disperse the load on more people. Thank you.
Mr. McLean.
Yes, I think that there are programs out there to help folks who are underserved, such as the Homestead Act, which helps out our seniors in regards to property tax value and actually getting them in a situation where they can pay their taxes in certain situations. I think our board has done a pretty good job in past few years navigating us financially through this financial crisis here in our country. I believe in transparency. I believe there's going to be a reevaluation done. I think all citizens of this county should have a say in it. They should know exactly what procedures will be coming up here in the near future, and that eases some on the burden of actually finding money and having folks in a situation where they can pay their property tax.
Okay, the question that the candidates are answering real honestly and basically is, are county property owners overtaxed? Moving on to Ms. Ratliff.
Thank you for that question. As I've looked at the current budget book and I look at the services that are offered to the citizens of Mecklenburg County, I can say that we definitely need to not so much increase property taxes, but we want to increase the revenue that we have coming in, because we don't need our services cut. There's a lot of mental health services, healthcare services, a lot of things within DSS, our park and rec, our libraries. We do not need these services cut. So we need to look at more diverse and innovative ways of bringing in more economy and jobs to increase the revenue to keep these services aboard. So I do not think that we're being properly taxed at this point.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. In some areas, property taxes are higher than they normally would. But we need to look at why, the purpose of the revenue. The revenue are used for the funding of the schools, the police, fire protection, and other services like that within the community. So we need to look at exactly how to make this a win-win situation within all homeowners, property taxes. We need to look at as far as getting a third party, as far as evaluating tax rates and stuff within our community.
All right, Mr. Taylor.
If I were to ask people from other parts of the country what their taxes are like, they're far higher than what we have here in Charlotte in Mecklenburg County. I, like everybody, would like to pay lower taxes, but Mecklenburg County is a remarkable place, and it also draws a lot of people who have social needs that are different than those who live in other places. I think that we need to figure out how to diversify the revenue streams that we have to operate all the things that the county needs to do. But I think that our taxes, I'd love to see them go down. I'm not sure they can go down.
All right, and finally, Ms. Cotham.
Nobody likes taxes, but we all like clean air and clean water and education and policemen and firemen and everything like that that our taxes pay for. So taxes are very important. I think where we need to improve is the taxpayers need to feel comfortable and confident that our leaders are being good stewards of their money, that they're making the hard questions and asking the tough questions and listening to them. And I think that's where we need to focus more of our energy about taxes.
All right, well, believe it or not, we're already halfway through this debate with all 12 Democratic candidates for the Mecklenburg County at-large seat. They will elect 3 this coming May in the primary. Let's just spice this up a little bit. This question, all I want you to do, I don't want a complete sentence, top 3 priorities. Again, that's basic, simple, just tell me in order, top 3, move on. Shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds. I know politicians, it might take a little longer, but hopefully, let's try and keep it down, all right? Mr. Fuller, top 3 priorities.
Well, Sean, I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm a lawyer, so it's hard for me to say things quickly.
Top 3 priorities,
Top
please,
three.
just real quick.
First is education, vocational and technical training. Second is job creation. And third is the effective delivery of social services, particularly mental health services.
All right, that was under 15 seconds, not
All right,
bad. Mr. Jeremiah.
Top 3 priorities, number 1 would be education. 2, the property revaluation system. And 3, I'm just going to throw something out there, the coyote problem in South Charlotte.
Oh, we haven't heard much about that. There you go. Thank you. Mr. Gustafson.
3 top priorities are education, which is directly related to jobs and our economy. The second is tax revaluation and getting a fair system for all. And the third is leadership. We've had people have the carpet pulled out from under them, and we need leadership that people have confidence in.
All right, Mr. Hillman, your top 3 priorities.
Top three priorities are job creation, infrastructure development, most notably transportation, and education/vocational training.
All right, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. Number 1 is supporting CMS in its endeavors in educating our children. Number 2 is attracting businesses through incentives to bring quality jobs to Mecklenburg County, get the unemployment rate down below 10%. And third, and which I think is very important, is to make sure that we provide quality services for those of us in the community who need it.
All right, Mr. Maddens. Again, we're trying to keep these short. Mr. Maddens, top 3 priorities.
Top 3 priorities, education, budgetary constraints, and environment, both green for the air and water, and also for our environment that we live in, for a safe environment for our seniors and their benefits, as well as the veterans and their benefits.
That had to be a very long run-on sentence. Very good. Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean, your top 3.
Priorities simply, first, education. The yield on the dollar is a lot higher than any other area I can think of. Definitely quality of life here in Mecklenburg County. And also job recreation, creating entrepreneurship through access to capital.
Excellent. Ms. Ratliff.
Funding for public education, bringing jobs to Mecklenburg County and the needs of the community.
Excellent. Mr. Brown.
Unemployment, education, and healthcare.
All right. Coming around, Mr. Taylor, top 3 priorities.
Public education, the recovery of the economy and the growth of jobs, and regards Department of Social Services, Children and Family Services.
All right, Ms. Cotham.
Education, including Central Piedmont Community College, jobs, and human services, including mental health.
All right, Ms. Friedland.
Education, education, and education. If we have the best education in Charlotte or in Mecklenburg, we can create jobs and we can educate everybody about the environment and about the mental health issues.
All right. See, we can do it. Everybody feel energized after that? We moved that along really fast. All right. One thing that we've heard from a few people, and it's been a significant issue this past year, is revaluation. It's been a very difficult process. Over 40,000 property owners filed an appeal. Another 10,000 of those filed another appeal on top of the first one. Does this process need to be changed? If so, how? And if not, why not? And we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Jeremiah.
I think the process can be changed. I think it can be done a lot more efficient. Right now, we do a revaluation every 8 years, but the county records the sale price almost immediately after the purchase. Let's focus on what the actual purchase price of the house is and move on from there. Possibly do an increase based on the percentage increase in social services or police or fire department. You'd be hard pressed to complain about the value of your property if that was your purchase price.
And again, I'm glad you did take the additional time. We're back to 45 seconds now, so feel free. Mr. Gustafson, your question.
What I think a lot of people need to realize is that many of these issues are state issues. The 8-year revaluation is set by the state. The standards for revaluation are set by the state. So if we're going to change this, we have to work at the state level, and I'm willing to do that, and I've been involved in this process as a lawyer. We also have to understand that the revaluation process is set up to work. We've got to work on the communication. We've got to work on the efficiency. I think we need to involve real estate professionals. I think we need to involve lawyers. I think there needs to be more dialogue between the county and the homeowners to ease some of the burdens that are going on here. But I think we have a fair system that needs some tweaking around the edges.
All right, Mr. Hillman.
I think in the main, the system is fair. My taxes went up quite considerably. I live in Cotswold, and some of my neighbors are quite happy about that because it didn't necessarily affect them as well. I live in an area where there are tear downs. But I think the process needs to be more frequent, and I think it needs to be more transparent.
All right, and welcome to my neighborhood. All right, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. I am a lawyer, and I have clients who went through this process, and they're angry and frustrated, primarily because the process lacks transparency. I think that to reevaluate, the county should at least tell the homeowner what methodology they're using, that when you go into the appeals process, it should be recorded, and that finally, when a county issues its determination, it should be supported by evidence and facts. And I think certainly whatever that determination is, that the homeowner would at least feel that the process was fair, which I believe is most important. Thank you.
All right, this question again is revaluation's been quite controversial in Mecklenburg County this year. Does the process need to be changed? If so, how? If not, why not? Mr. Maddens, question to you.
Well, I stated earlier that the process does need to be changed. I'm truly in favor of changing the term length. Instead of doing it every 8 years, perhaps it should be every 2 years, maybe every 4 years. The system, obviously, that's in place works when it's handled in the proper fashion and with the right input. I want to see input from individuals from the realty community that do have a sense of what the proper value of a piece of property is worth. Every time there's a complaint, every time there's a problem, and we have to go to court to reevaluate or readjust these situations, we keep paying for it. And if we keep paying for it in a negative fashion, it would be nice to take that negative money and move it into another area and do it right the first time. Shorter terms and better input.
Mr. McLean.
Okay, I'd like to also reemphasize transparency. I think we can actually do that on behalf of our neighborhood associations. If they are any opportunities with communication, neighborhood associations can help us out in regards to communities' access to local government. I'm for them actually handing out flyers or invitations to county government so people can get a good idea of what's coming up and how they're able to pay their bills here in the near future.
All right, Ms. Ratliff.
Thank you. I think definitely as a commissioner, we need to be responsive to the needs of the community. I think the fact that we have so many lawsuits and people coming actually to the meetings now to speak out on their concerns definitely speaks volume that the process needs to be addressed, reevaluated in some form or fashion so that we can address how this can be equitable for everyone. We do like for people to be able to afford the housing that they're in, but we want to make sure that it's equitable for everyone, not just on this side of town or that side of town, but that it addresses the needs and the concerns of everyone in the community.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir. I feel like instead of using 8 years, we should shorten the length as far as the reevaluation process that we got going on within the county. I think one of the biggest issues that we need to do is make sure that there's some type of the evaluation is really consistent within every organization, within every county, within every community. Thank you.
All right, the question again is revaluation this past year, quite controversial in Mecklenburg County. Does the process need to be changed? If it does, how? If not, why not? Mr. Taylor, to you.
Well, the state mandates the revaluation takes place every 8 years. The county has the opportunity to determine when it actually happens, and this time there's little question that it should have been done sooner, that maybe we need to look at doing them every 2 or 3 years. This one was was kind of a perfect storm where we've had a long increase in property values and then a sudden depression that caused jobs and income to substantially decrease. And I think that the staff could have done a better job prognosticating that this was going to be a problem.
Okay, Ms. Cotham?
I believe we had about 40,000 homeowners that were struggling, especially during this revaluation. As I looked at other cities, we're about average in complaints, but I still think we could do better. It seems like we need to be user-friendly, and our homeowners and citizens need to be able to understand things. Sometimes it's hard to get information. This can be improved. I also think we need to do more on the front end. We have these small towns that can be engaged in the beginning, and I think I would say that we need to get more involved in the front end to avoid problems at the end.
All right, Ms. Friedland.
I don't know, when our property was revaluated the last time and it increases the value of our property, we were so happy. We were willing to pay. But somehow because of the economy right now, that's why there's a lot of complaint. So we need to address that. We need to have some changes, and I want to initiate a comprehensive reform to reevaluation, and also and make this effective and make it frequent instead of every 8 years.
All right, and finally, Mr. Fuller.
All right. Well, Sean, to me, there are really two problems with the revaluation. The first was the frequency. In other words, because there was so long between the revaluations, the economy changed at least once, maybe twice in that period of time. And we need to shorten that period of time. The second problem, I think, is the methodology. So people need to, there needs to be some transparency about the methodology. Look, appraising real property is not a profession unknown to the world. So if we're more transparent on the front end about how the valuation is actually going to occur, I think that would alleviate much of the consternation that has been experienced with respect to this revaluation.
All right, moving on to the next question. A couple of years ago, Mecklenburg County cut funding for libraries and parks. What is your current stance on supporting libraries and parks, increase or decrease their funding? And if you're saying increase the funding, you might want to throw out a suggestion of where you find that money. And we'll go ahead and move on to Mr. Gustafson.
The Parks and Rec have been cut 45% in the last 3 years. The public libraries over 30%. I was on a member of the Charlotte Reads board at the public library when many of these cuts were happening, and they cut critical programs, like a program we started at West Boulevard Public Library to start teen boys reading at the public libraries. We can't continue to cut these things and not expect lasting damage to our community. This is the kind of community where we want to raise our children and our grandchildren and have the community that looks like the kind of community that we want. We can't continue to cut these things. We have to find the funds. We have to get more efficient. We can cut administrative costs. We can cut some value out of property that the library owns. But we have to find ways to fund these things.
All right, Mr. Hillman.
Yes, as a young child, the library was actually my babysitter. So after school every day, I would go to the library and wait, and with some other friends, and wait for basically our parents to come pick us up and take us home at 5 when they got, or 5 or 6 when they got off work. And when the cuts happened here in Charlotte, I was like, wow, what would have happened to me? We would have lost the sitter effectively. So I was not in favor of the cuts and never in favor of cuts as it relates to libraries and parks and rec. However, notwithstanding that fact, we have to realize that we were in a downturn in the economy, and the best solution to providing funding is to create jobs and create a better economy, and that's what all levels of government need to be focused on, creating jobs. That's city, state, local, and as well as federal.
Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. I think the libraries and the parks play a vital role to the economy. I mean, to the community, not only to children but also to our seniors, as well as to our unemployed who go to the library specifically to get online to look for jobs. Those provides tax documents for those who are doing their taxes on their own. Now, in terms of the parks, are also very important. Kids, parents, everyone goes to the parks. Certainly enjoy the green space. How you pay for it. Certainly looking at the budget, there are many areas where you have more than one provider. for a particular service, and I can guarantee you that there's one provider in there that's doing very well with verifiable results, and there's another provider after you go down the list of 2 and 3 that's not, and that provider is not worthy of taxpayer support. And if you get rid of that, if you prune that tree just a little bit, you'll have some funds available for what we find most important. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Madden.
Well, we have cut the budgets on Park and Rec. We have cut the budgets as we all started screaming and hollering about the library. But quite frankly, times have changed. The use of the libraries has to change. Parks and Rec is incredibly vital to the vibrant success of our wonderful environment. I served 7 years on the Tree Commission protecting our canopy and our greenways. We need to enjoy what we've got. So perhaps instead of looking at the libraries as libraries, we start looking at, we already own the buildings, we already own the land. We need to come up with other uses for the library so that it becomes more effective and we're getting better use for our dollar.
All right, this question again is, what is your stance on supporting the libraries and parks, increase or decrease the funding? And if you support increasing the funding, throw out a couple ideas on how you get that revenue. We'll move on to Mr. McLean.
Okay, I'm actually for sustaining the amount that's actually spent on the libraries and the recreational parks and recreation. With the money spent right now, I frequent the Revolutionary Park Rec Center right down the street from my house in Revolution Park. Bringing the two together, will that work in the future? I think it helps out transportation-wise. I think when dealing with a parent taking their child to one facility so they can possibly get help reading, writing, and reasoning. I am for a mediation clinic also to go on here at the recreational centers in addition to libraries, possibly consolidating together, to help assist our seniors with help with estate planning, retirement planning, anything you name it up under the sun that will help out in consolidation our efforts and cutting down on overhead.
All right, Ms. Ratliff.
Thank you. As someone who uses both the neighborhood recreation center and the local library in my area, and actually my library was one of those that was hard hit. It was closed for a while. It is now back in operation. And one of the things that is valuable about the local libraries in the community, it actually brings value to the home. So that is something that is good for all homeowners. It's a nice, safe place where children can go not only to learn, but they can actually be protected and learn more about their community and grow to be good citizens. As far as the recreation center, it's a place to meet people. I've been there a number of times. I found out what the issues are in the community, and these things together help keep our children safe, keep them off the streets, keeps them out of trouble.
All right, Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir. The library is very important to our community. There's a lot of individuals that use the library for the internet sources, applying for jobs. We have the youth that goes in there to do their homework. I feel like that's very important that we fund these libraries. Park and Rep is another additional thing that we need to use as far as funding, because of the fact that our children use these parks and recs and it keeps them out of trouble. Funding, we can consolidate a lot of the services that are already in use. And this, it's all about the community. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Taylor.
Parks and libraries have both taken enormous cuts in their budgets over the last 4 years. They are, however, critical parts of what makes Mecklenburg County a great place to live and draw people and jobs to this county and keep people here. I am not in favor of further cuts to them. I'm in favor of continuing to figure out how to make those two important services operate at the highest possible level.
All right, the question again is, what is your stance on supporting the libraries and parks, increase or decrease the funding, and why? Ms. Cotham?
Parks and recreations and libraries are critical. They go hand in hand with education and for jobs. When companies look to move here, they're going to evaluate all these things. So it is critical that we do not close these things or reduce their hours. With the libraries, and I work with people, a fragile part of the population, people who with criminal records, and I help them find jobs. And when they go to the libraries, they have a 2-hour limit to use the computer. Online applications can often take 45 minutes to complete. And so we really need to keep this sustained and increase it if we can. So they're very important.
Ms. Friedland.
With regards to the funds, we need to increase or maintain the funds that they have right now. I'm going to be crazy if I hear the word closing of the libraries, because this is so important if we are really sincere for the education of our children. I will be in the street calling out people and says, please, closing of the libraries is not an option or never be a solution. We need to build more libraries than closing it. And that's what I believe.
All right, Mr. Fuller.
All right, thank you. I think these cuts to the libraries and to Parks and Recreation are very dangerous. In my view, they are penny wise and pound foolish. In order to pay for these things that are vibrant parts of our community, perhaps we need to explore and can explore some partnerships between public and private entities to provide funding for the libraries, for example, or provide more resources for Parks and Recreation. But when we start cutting these things that are at the very basic level of the quality of life that we enjoy in Mecklenburg County, we run a very, very dangerous risk of damaging what is most attractive about our community.
And finally, Mr. Jeremiah.
I'm for the increase of funds to park and recs and libraries. I can't foresee a city without significant libraries for citizens to have access to. They may have to adapt with the times, bring in some other sort of revenue streams. I don't know if that's, renting out space for private business or such to have training in the evenings, maybe small stipend. I don't know the answer exactly, but I can't imagine a city without libraries.
All right, we are running towards the end of this debate. The director is going to get upset at me if you don't follow my directions on this. I'm going to read a sentence. You need to finish it in less than 10 seconds and avoid a run-on sentence, all right? The role of county government is... Mr. Hillman, we'll start with you.
The role of county government is to budget and allocate funds.
Mr. Hunt.
To pass the budget, provide quality services.
Mr. Maddens.
To enhance and protect the services offered to our veterans and seniors and all of us to have a safer community.
Mr. McLean.
To create an environment that is conducive to a quality of life for people who live in the county.
All right, again, the question is the role of county government is. Finish the sentence, Ms. Ratliff.
The role of county government is to fund our public education and to handle the services of the community.
Mr. Brown.
The role of the government is I feel like the biggest thing is the budget. That's one of the biggest things I think.
All right, Mr. Taylor, the role of county government is?
To serve the citizens of the county with integrity and sensibility and compassion.
Ms. Cotham.
To serve the people and to be good stewards of their money.
Ms. Friedland.
Appropriate funds and also to make sure that the social services and programs in our country is being served.
Mr. Fuller.
It's to provide for the health, education, and well-being of the 1 million citizens who live in Mecklenburg County.
Mr. Jeremiah.
To serve the citizens of Mecklenburg County.
And Mr. Gustafson.
To effectively, efficiently, and fairly invest taxpayer dollars.
All right, moving on. Each of you now has 30 seconds to sell yourself to the voter. We'll go ahead and go with Mr. Hunt. 30-second closing statement.
Thank you. I encourage you to please visit my website at electgregoryhunt.com. Certainly looking forward to your support and your vote. Learn more about me as a father, a lawyer, and a concerned citizen. I'm here to serve you and your needs as your county commission at large. Please visit my website, electgregoryhunt.com, for more information. Thank you.
Mr. Maddens.
I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a longtime resident, and I have served this community for over 25 years by being actively involved in making things happen. I would welcome the opportunity to serve you so that we can have a place, a county where everybody, and I mean everybody, can live their dreams and where other people can dream of living. Thank you.
Mr. McLean.
So in addition to just simply looking at the candidates, I want you to look at our backgrounds. I want you to take a good look at who's actually done a good job at leveraging others in addition to leveraging themselves. I think that's important when you're thinking about choosing a leader of a great county. You want to choose the person that's actually going to have the ability, the time to give, and the access to capital and friends that actually improves the lives of people who live in Mecklenburg County. My name is Aronde McLean. I want to encourage you to look at my website, check out some of the information that's also available in the media, or you can call me at 980-202-2136.
All right, Ms. Ratliff.
Thank you. Kim Michelle Ratliff, the visible choice, your candidate for Mecklenburg County Commission at Large. I am the best candidate because of my commitment to the community, because of my knowledge and experience. I've lobbied at the local, state, and federal level. My job as a county commission will be to bring jobs to the community that are willing to invest, whether it be our public education, the needs of the community, such as schools, libraries, park, and rec. Kim Michelle Ratliff, your candidate, Mecklenburg County Commission at Large, kimformetcounty.com. Thank you.
All right, we are in closing statements right now. Mr. Brown, 30 seconds.
Yes, my name is Paul Brown. I am a leader. I'm a winner. I love the city of Charlotte, the county. I feel like I am the best person for this position, and I will also listen to the community and also get involved as much as possible. Paul Brown for County Commissioner at Large.
Mr. Taylor, your closing statement.
I'm Harry Taylor. Many years ago, I was taken by this from Dr. Martin Luther King. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. We've talked about issues this morning, but this job is also about leadership. Whether to George Bush or Sue Myrick, to a powerful corporation or utility, standing up and speaking out about things that matter is what I do. I'm Harry Taylor.
All right, Ms. Gotham.
I am Pat Cotham, and as your commissioner, I will be a fierce advocate for jobs in our community. I'll fight for a quality of life that is second to none, where children go to great schools, teachers are appreciated, and opportunities abound for everyone. I believe in big ideas, and we just all need to come together, and we need to have a community where we're lean but not mean. I'm Pat Cotham, and I ask to be one of your three choices.
Ms. Friedland.
My name is Jyoti Friedland. I am a community organizer and a social worker. We need to unite and we need to be optimistic, and we can survive this. Closing of the school, closing of the of libraries is not an option. I am for Amendment 1.
All right, Mr. Brown. I apologize, Mr. Fuller. Closing statement.
All right, thank you. Again, I'm Trevor Fuller, and I'm running for County Commission at Large because we need leaders now more than ever. The County Commission leadership is at stake in this election, and I have leadership experience. I'm privileged to serve as a member of the Board of Directors of the Mecklenburg County Bar, which is the governing body of all lawyers in Mecklenburg County. Now is the time for leadership. Now is the time for us to come together as a community, and that's what I pledge and commit to do as your next County Commissioner at Large. Trevor Fuller. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Jeremiah.
As a candidate for county commission, I believe I will work as hard as anyone to make sure that services are improved, costs are reduced, and the quality of life will improve in Mecklenburg County.
Mr. Gustafson.
And I'm Mark Gustafson. We're at a critical time in our county. The last 4 years have been some of the most unsettling we've seen in our lifetimes. We need good leaders with the experience and the vision for our community. I thank you for taking the time to watch today and educating yourself about the candidates. You can visit my website to learn more, markformec.com. And on May 8th, I hope that you'll vote Mark Gustafson for Mecklenburg County Commissioner at Large.
And finally, Mr. Hillman.
Thank you very much. It's a budgeting job, and I'm a numbers guy. I've got over 20 years experience as an engineer, as an investment banker, and as an investment advisor. More importantly, I have an extended track record as a leader in the community. And the idea is that I'm going to bring these two things together for the citizens of Mecklenburg County to deliver, as their county commissioner, more jobs, more infrastructure, and more education. My name is Robert L. Hillman, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
All right, and I want to personally thank all 12 of you candidates. You are the Democrats candidates for the Mecklenburg County Commission at Large race. It is not easy running for office, and it is great to have all of you up here sharing your ideas with all the voters out there. I want to remind everybody that there are 12 candidates up here. When you go to the ballot box May 8th, or if you vote early, you will be pressing the ballot for 3 of them. So the 3 of them, whoever moves on, will go on to the November general election and face off against 3 Republicans. Now, don't forget to vote on Tuesday, November 8th. For more information on the candidates and the issues, go to WTVI.org or the League of Women, GoLeagueGo.org. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you go out and vote.